Welcome to Plant-Based on Fire, the podcast that ignites your passion for plant-based businesses. Real Men Eat Plants is proud to host this show, where we shine a spotlight on the latest and greatest plant-based companies making waves in the industry. From startups to established brands, we'll explore what sets these businesses apart, what challenges they've faced, and what their vision for a more sustainable and ethical food future looks like. So if you're hungry for some fresh insights, inspiring stories, and a healthy dose of entrepreneurial spirit, then join us on Plant-Based on Fire, brought to you by Real Men Eat Plants.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Plant-Based on Fire, where we talk about plant-based businesses and their inspiring stories to thrive in the industry. I'm your host, Bryan, and joining us today is Rebecca Gade Sawicki, founder of the vegan travel company, Veggies Abroad. Welcome, Rebecca.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Welcome. I'm welcoming you to your own podcast. Thank you so much.
It's so great to have you on the show. I have to say you have been very helpful in helping me plan some of my adventures that I have coming up here. So I'm so excited to talk to you. But I want to dig into the woman behind the company a little bit. Tell us, how has your personal journey with veganism influenced your business?
Sure. So I have not been in the travel industry my entire career. My path into it is a bit unique, maybe some would say a bit odd. Prior to launching Veggies Abroad and kind of going down that path, my career was in fundraising and event management and a little bit of communication stuff. And cool. Once the pandemic hit, I really wanted to align my career with my ethics. And so I started looking for a job with a vegan company or an environmental company. I just felt like the pandemic kind of placed a spotlight on everything that was just going wrong in the world, from health impacts to environmental impacts. And I felt like I couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer and do nothing. And that if these things were truly important to me, I needed to become active within them. Mm-hmm. So I started looking for a job with a vegan company and I couldn't find one. I applied to a bunch of things. I looked in all different areas, like nothing was really panning out. And so I thought, all right, I've got to get creative with this and kind of reinvent myself. And so prior to the pandemic, my husband and I did travel quite a bit, and people were always really enamored with what in the world did I eat? Did I go on a diet? Did I lose weight? Did people understand what vegan meant? Did I have to bring all of my food through TSA? What do the TSA agents say? Like, go on and on. So I thought, all right, maybe I'll start a vegan travel blog, and that's going to force me to have to learn a ton of new skills. I'd never built a website before. I managed one. And then hopefully network with like-minded people. I'd find a new job, pivot away, and that would be the end of the story. Well, what I didn't realize that ended up happening is that the blog ended up growing. It ended up opening me up to different freelance and consulting opportunities. And then I started to really think about this whole travel industry as a whole, and how could I be involved in it? How could I make a difference within it? And I realized there weren't a ton of people, kind of preaching the things that I really wanted to preach or that I held important. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can make a difference within this space. And so I fully jumped in with launching travel planning services and tours, and, a handful of other things, the beginning of last year, actually a year ago, and kind of fully thought, all right, I'm going to jump in the deep end and let's see if I can swim. So I still run the blog. And then I do all the rest of the things, in tangent with it.
That is awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's so many business owners that I speak with, have that similar story where they're like, I want to be some of the change you want to see in the world. And so I start a blog just to start talking about it. And then the blog turns into a thing and a bigger business. That's even how Real Men Eat Plants and Plant-Based on Fire started, with just a blog long time ago. Yeah. So I have to ask, what were some of those initial challenges you faced as you transitioned out of corporate into the blog and then into a full-fledged travel company?
Oh my God, how much time do you have? There were so many and still are so many. Well, I think one of the biggest things and still something that I fight with is balancing the fact that everything is on you. I have a couple freelancers that do some things for me, but from the day-to-day emails to networking to pitching my own media to getting like bulk work done, everything
Hmm.
falls on my shoulders. And so that can be really difficult. Previous to this, I managed some people. I had a boss. So I always was
Yeah.
surrounded by people and a team, and you were never alone. And so that has been a huge challenge for
Yeah.
me to kind of get through and figure out how am I going to, plan for the next 6 months and also plan for just tomorrow. And that can be incredibly overwhelming. And I'd say also the roller coaster of it. Going from
Yeah.
having a very stable job that you always got to check every other Friday and you punched in and you punched out is a totally different story from running your own business. You never really punch out.
That's true.
I know
Yes.
some weeks that you make 50 cents and the others that you make, a more
Yeah.
stable living. And no one can really, you can prepare yourself for that. Like you tell yourself, like you understand what that's like, but you don't really know what that's like until you are stuck in the trenches of it. And, it's difficult. And then that affects, I'm married. And so luckily I do have a partner who's supportive, but it can affect your relationship as well because, you
Yeah.
start to feel like, oh my God, I'm not as much of a participant in this.
Right.
And yeah, that's a whole different challenge that you didn't necessarily foresee.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the list goes on. I feel like we could do a whole separate episode on that one for
Yeah,
sure,
absolutely.
because so many little things to uncover there. Um, I guess if we dig into the actual travel business itself, talk to us about the vegan travel market. Like, how do you assess the current market for vegan travel and its potential growth?
Sure. So things are really growing. You see the increase of products and clothing and things like that. And that's seeping into all the other facets of industry. And places are becoming more and more aware from them realizing that they need to have menu options at their hotel facilities to then thinking about the environmental impacts of some of the things that they are decorating rooms with
Hmm.
or how they're recycling water. It kind of is it's a very a large array of things that different places are doing within the industry, but
Hmm.
it's growing, and it's kind of diverse. Places are becoming more and more aware that people are not stopping their ethics when they travel, that they want to
Hmm.
carry that over. And some people are willing to pay more in order to book something that they know aligns with what they care about, that,
Hmm.
maybe has more vegan options or is
Hmm.
fully vegan.
Yeah.
The days of, vegan hotels being a complete anomaly is kind of going to the wayside. They're popping up kind of left and right, throughout the world. It's from, Asia, Europe, here in the United
Hmm.
States, you can find places, or you can find places that are incredibly vegan friendly as well. I think the focus on sustainability and eco-friendly practices is also influencing places
Yes.
making more dietary changes as well, because the conversations are shifting. Places are becoming more and more aware that what we eat impacts all of that and has to be a part of every sustainability conversation. So it's growing. It still has a ways
Yeah.
to go. I'm excited to see, what this year unfolds, what the next 5 years, 10 years unfolds. Because even if you just look back over, 5 years ago, it's vastly different and, not the same that we find today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the thing for me, I think the light bulb clicked for me in 2023 as we're entering into 2024. The light bulb that clicked for me was almost every dollar that I put out needs to vote for what I want and what I believe in on so many levels. And I've always just put it into my food and that aspects of it. Maybe I wouldn't buy something with leather, animal products in it, kind of a thing. But there's so many other things that we can do with our dollars, and so that's why I'm glad I bumped into you. And then I've had a few other travel agents on doing like the Disney vegan tours and stuff like that too. So it's just like, it's interesting to see how I have such a passion for travel and I want to travel. I just want to do it in a sustainable way that I possibly can. And obviously I don't want to go someplace where I can't find any vegan options whatsoever. So thank you for that.
All right, if you've ever wanted to show off your plant-based lifestyle and do it in style, here's your chance. We have some of the most amazing t-shirts, hats, accessories, coffee mugs, and more at shop.realmeneatplants.com. We have statement t-shirts that will bring a smile to everyone's face. I love the I want tofu tonight tee. Plus, we have podcast tees, Real Women Eat Plants gear, Real Kids Eat Plants, and Real People Eat Plants, just in case men, women, and kids didn't cover it all. Yeah, we love you and love that you want to show off that healthy lifestyle of yours. Again, check out our high-quality gear at shop.realmeneatplants.com and enjoy.
What is, like, as you plan out a tour, for what goes into planning a vegan tour, and how do you sort of select your destinations? I think you have some specific tours that you run on a yearly basis. Is that right? Tell us about those a little bit.
Yeah, so last year was our inaugural tour, and we went to Thailand, and it sold out. That was in November, so not too long ago, and it was really fabulous. We didn't actually start off with Thailand as being the one that we were going to kick off with, and truth be told, it was supposed to be Italy, but Italy was really difficult to deal with. The pricing wasn't great. There's a whole lot of behind the scenes that goes into it that people don't really think about. And so I had to scrap it. And for all of the itineraries thus far that I've done, I work with Intrepid Travel, which is a certified B Corp company. And I work with their local offices to kind of manage all of the things that go into the day-by-day itinerary. And then they help with negotiating hotel rates and putting together the whole package. And so that gives me some stability, because to be very honest, to do the entire tours myself, I would have to dedicate my entire business to it. Or I would have to multiply myself, or I'd just never go to bed. I don't know. None of those things really seem very possible at the moment. But when I started the Thailand one, or the 3 that I have planned this year, we kind of start talking about, high level of the destination. Like, is the destination have options? Are these cities completely, off the beaten path and going to be really difficult to deal with? Is this a different kind of thing that we would look at? Or could it be more along the lines, of a culinary aspect? Because we can do things that are a little bit more off the beaten path, but you just have to know, kind of going into it, what kind of a trip is this going to be? More adventure related, or more of like a food adventure kind of thing? So, I start there with looking at that. And then I start looking at hotels, and what are the hotels? What do they offer? Is there a vegan hotel nearby? And so that can help really drive a itinerary as well. Because if there's a vegan hotel that's not too far, I'm going to try and figure out a way to make it work if possible. And then activities as well. So if there's like something really cool going on, like, if we were to go to London, you could have a cheese and wine tasting activity. You could do market walking tours. Some places open themselves up to being able to do kind of a myriad of things. And then I always try and put local culture into it. So if there's a way to interact with the local community, respectfully and sustainably, I really want to, bridge that gap, so travelers have a unique experience that's not just a cookie cutter thing. It's not just what everybody else does. And so then they have really respect for the local destination and an understanding of what real life is like there. What's, the political aspect, if they're able to speak about it or want to. What's their day-to-day like? What's the cost of living like? What are their challenges? And then sometimes, we get to have an interaction with, local families. The Bali trip that I have for later this year, we'll do a Balinese blessing with a local family and have coffee with them, which is a really unique
Oh,
thing. And it's
fun.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not something that you would find on a standard itinerary. And so that's
Yeah.
really important to me. And as a business is to make sure that's always a part of it. I always want to come into a destination and be as respectful as possible and then leave it better than we've found it and leave it with more of an appreciation as well.
Absolutely. I think you're going to see even more of that sort of volunteer tourism things popping up where like we go in, like, I don't know. That's something I would love to see more and more of, is to be able to go on a vegan trip and work for a day or two, helping do something in the local community. Anyway, I've given you a couple business ideas. I have to say, like, the one, as you were saying something, the one idea that pops in my head is just like, I'm building a vegan oriented business. You are, and many other people that have been on the podcast are, and we are looking for help.
Yeah.
And when I go to Upwork or Fiverr or LinkedIn and I type in the word vegan, like, you need to put it in your profile. Everybody who's listening, go and put it in your profile, promote this, because you might be an expert in XYZ. And I don't know that you're vegan because you're still not putting it on your profile. So that's my tip for all you out there, to tell us so that Rebecca and I can hire you for our businesses, because we would love to have you in our little fold here.
Yeah, that's a really great thing. Just to add on to that, I was looking for a couple of freelancers actually to help with some writing. And I really wanted someone that is vegan or is very, well aware
I have to get it.
That means.
Like, it's hard to even write about it unless you get it.
Yeah,
So,
I can't tell you 8 different ways
Yeah.
like that this is just not okay and why we can't talk about horseback riding like for the
Yeah.
10th time. And
Yeah.
that was, I had to go through other contacts and other, groups that I was a part of to track someone down, because just searching for that, like it was an abyss. So
Yep.
do that, please.
Help us out.
Yes.
So I have to ask, it's a new business in this post-pandemic world that we're living in here. How has Veggies Abroad grown since its inception, and what were some of the factors in its success?
Oh, that's a very good question. So I would say this past year has kind of been just insane. It's been kind of chaotic. I started the year with going, okay, last year, actually, I started 2023 thinking, okay, we're going to launch, these new services. We're going to be like fully a travel company. And not really kind of understanding, to be honest, what all that was going to mean. And so things started off kind of slow at the beginning of last year, and I had a lot to learn. But by the end of the year, we had 1 sold out tour under our belt, 3 more planned for 2024. And now I'm starting to plan 2025. And then I started with just like 1 or 2 people who were interested in some trip help. And now my inbox is like significantly picked up its pace to the point that I've now had to start pushing people off like into the next month that I can't help them. So I would say there's definitely been major growth, especially in the last quarter of last year. And I'm starting to get to the point where I'm thinking, okay, so I've got a couple of freelancers to help with the blog. When is going to be my next breaking point for trip help? Because again, I'm only one person, and I'm going to have to start to move some of this stuff over to someone else. So an exact percentage, I don't know. It kind of feels like it was over 100% like change and everything. I went kind of from 0 to 60 in, many ways.
That is awesome. Congratulations on that success. These are all good problems to have as a business owner when your inbox is full of requests. So congratulations. Whatever you're doing is working. And I hope all of our fellow listeners out there reach out to you if they have some travel needs. So I'm curious, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but like, what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years for the vegan travel industry?
Oh, that's a great.
What are some of those highlights?
Great question. I think we'll start to see more hotels that are not vegan adopting more options. And then I think because there is such a push in the sustainability realm and with companies needing to reduce their carbon emissions and businesses feeling that push as well too, that we're going to start to see a lot of these hotels being more vocal about some of the changes that they're making. Some are slow. Some are just not talking about it, but I think it's going to become a really important part of the conversation that they're going to have to become more aggressive about implementing these things, and then also talking about it and letting consumers know in order to, push business, because some of this might change pricing for some places. So they're going to need to discuss why is, pricing changing? What does this mean? I think that we will probably see more vegan B&Bs and hotels pop up, or at least I hope. I have seen some places grow and adding locations just in the past year. And then there was also a hotel in the UK that went from being a regular hotel to now transitioning to fully vegan.
That's awesome.
And a lot of it had to do with their ethics, but I think some of it had to do with sustainability as well too. So I think, we're seeing more people become very aware that what is on your plate affects more than just you. So I think that's going to affect people in their business changes as well. On the food front, things continue to grow. New restaurants are popping up. I know that the pandemic did really harm quite a few and caused a lot of closures. 2023 was kind of difficult with, the rates being hiked and borrowing money. So hopefully 2024, as things settle down, will help businesses so that they can borrow more if they need to borrow, so that they can continue expansion plans and things like that. There have also been an increase over the last couple of years with festivals. I think that we'll continue to see more and more of those. I know that there is a really large conference that's moving into the US space. That's a really great thing to add to like a trip itinerary that has a very aggressive plan to increase its presence in other places. And I don't think that they're the only ones, because now we're seeing more with like food truck events and, things along those lines. So if the past 5 years and its change is any indication, I think that we'll start to see even more good things.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know. There's so many trips I want to plan, so I will be calling you for more of them in the future for sure.
Fantastic.
It's been a pleasure. I have to say, one of my favorite quotes is travel is fatal to bigotry and narrow-mindedness. I think that's Mark Twain, right? And so everybody get out there, do more traveling, reach out to Rebecca. What can the community do? What can our listeners that are watching this and listening to this do to help you grow Veggies Abroad? And what are the best ways to get in touch?
Sure. So if you want to get in touch, you can visit veggiesabroad.com, and my email is on there in many, many places. Feel free to shoot me a note. You can shoot me a note via Instagram as well. I am on there. And then as far as, any other avenues, I did mention that we have 3 tours for 2024, Bali, East Africa, which is Kenya and Tanzania, and Costa Rica. If any of those destinations are of interest to you, definitely shoot me a note. The Africa one, I have a feeling, is probably going to sell out in the next couple of months. There's been a lot of interest in it. So if that even slightly is of interest to you, I would not hold on to it too long. And then if you're looking for travel planning help, feel free to reach out about that as well.
Awesome. Well, that is all the time we have for this episode of Plant-Based on Fire. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us and sharing your insights and experiences with our community. Until next time, everybody, keep that fire burning.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Plant-Based on Fire. We hope you enjoyed learning about the innovative plant-based businesses we featured today and got inspired to support them on their journey. Remember, plant-based eating isn't just a trend. It's a way of life that benefits your health, the environment, and animals. By choosing plant-based foods, you're making a positive impact on the world and helping to create a better and more compassionate future. If you want to join the Real Men Eat Plants community and get even more resources to help you go and stay plant-based, check out our blog, podcasts, and 30-day challenge at realmeneatplants.com. Thank you for tuning in to Plant-Based on Fire. Brought to you by Real Men Eat Plants. Head over to Apple Podcast and give us a review and let us know what you think of this episode. Don't forget to tag us at Plant Based on Fire when you share this episode in your preferred social media. Wish to be a guest? We need to know about your plant-based business. Email us at pbof@realmeneatplants.com. We love hearing from our listeners. Thank you to our guests and to you, our listeners, for your support, and see you next time.